I'm going to mute everyone.
Just fire the ads up. Welcome everyone. This is Distant Radio 3305 with our weekly interview. Back from not having an interview at all last week. With me is Chankk who will be supporting me on the video end tonight. And yeah, tonight's guest is Souvarine from Sagittarius Eye and also Live Radio, as I just heard from you.
Yeah, that's correct. Hello, thanks for having me.
Yes, welcome. Yeah, you're an editor in for Sagittarius Eye.
All of those things. On it, under it, next to it.
What does that actually mean, being an editor there?
So we have a sort of a production cycle with teams doing lots of different work. So one of the main thing we produce is our monthly magazine, and that's created by several different teams: artists, designers, writers. And what the editors do is they take the articles that the writers have written, and they make changes to them to make them all of a consistent style and quality, and then pass them over to the designers to make into the finished release. So the editors, there are 4 editors, I think, and that's our job. So we have a week every month, which is a very, very busy period when we do most of the editing of the what we call it copy editing of the draft articles. But I'm also the chief editor, so I oversee our breaking news desk and our art, like what goes into our magazine. So I oversee the article contents and also the podcast creation, because we now do podcast issues of our magazine as well. So I'm quite busy.
Okay. Yeah. God damn it! I forgot to say it. No, I was asking mainly because, yeah, well, as the boss of the radio, I'm kind of an editor too. So I was seeing if those two can even be compared, because, yeah, well, for the radio, the most I do is editing ads, or
Oh, I see.
mastering and mixing stuff like that?
Yeah. We do. We have a team of audio editors for the podcast. So and those guys are phenomenally talented. So they probably do. I'm sure they would be doing the similar stuff. My job is, I guess, editing for print is as much about taking lots of like, say you get 10 articles and they're all from different writers of different experience levels, different styles, and some of them aren't even written by English speakers, and you have to bring all of those up to a consistent style and quality. So I guess that's the production side, but there's also quite a lot of organization involved, setting deadlines, setting expectations, like a bit of coaching when people want advice and help, like organizing the production tools. So we use the Google Suite and Trello a lot for putting the magazine together. So I guess it's a mix of kind of production and organization.
Interesting, at least. Yeah, so you just said you had audio editors, and I believe I heard you are releasing your older issues as podcasts, as audio
Yeah, that's right.
podcasts. Are those text to speech, or are they fully voiced, like like you started with issue 17, I believe?
Good question. They're all fully voiced. We first did a podcast in August last year, and it was text to speech in the same.
Yeah, we broadcasted those.
Yeah, it's the same same software that the game uses for Galnet. And in January this year, we've been recruiting lots more voice actors, and we've now got about 12 really excellent voice actors, some of whom are professional or semi-professional. So we decided that we were going to start converting not only our existing podcasts to from text to speech to fully voice acted, but also go back and convert the archive. So we're currently working on issue 20 of the magazine, I think, which releases on the 18th of April. So we've got 19 issues to date, and I think we've got
fully voiced.
Yeah, no, of in print, but we've got issues 17, 18, and 19 are fully voiced. And we've also gone back I think in January or February, we went back to the beginning of the back to the very first archive art issues, and we've been converting those as well. So we've got to, I think we're releasing issue 6 next Thursday. So we've totally converted to fully voiced podcasts, issues 1 through 6, and then 17 through 19. And 20 is being released later this month.
Yeah, we should pick up broadcasting those again, because I believe we just broadcasted issue 11 through 15, or no, 12 to 16, I believe it was.
Oh, so those would have been the text to speech ones.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
and we didn't
get hold of the. You should get hold of the archive one. Start at issue 1 and broadcast through to 6. And by the time you've got through those, we should have a few more for you as well.
Yeah, I think we can do that, because we had quite a bit of gaps of content. So yeah, coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. It's a bit famine or feast, really. I know exactly what you mean, and it is tricky. And and we haven't found a way to. We haven't found a simple way to like automate the process in terms of, what I mean is it's kind of a constant effort, I guess. There's no easy way to do it, and we have we have a few rules for how what we report on and how we report. So basically, our two fundamental tenets are that all of our production channels are in universe. We're an in universe publication, and secondly, we are player driven. So we report on player news by players for players. So Galnet's there for Frontiers narrative, and Sagittarius Eye is there for players narrative. So those two caveats, those two rules, automatically make our lives easier, because if somebody's I don't know, lifted game files out and found a special picture or something, we're not interested because we're in universe. If there's something about an assassination attempt on Admiral Petraeus, we're not interested because we're player driven. So those two rules mean that the things that we report on become more specific, and also we try and only cover things that happen in the game or manifest in game. So in the BGS and Power Play, there's lots of allegiances and an intrigue between player groups, but until it actually changes the game world in some way, we'll steer clear of it. So we wouldn't report on a new alliance formed between different groups on a Discord server somewhere, because that doesn't affect the game at all until it does. But when it does, we'll send reporters there, and we'll take pictures and video and report on it. So those two, we have quite a specific remit. If players have done it and it's happening in game, and casual players can observe those changes, and it's got an in-universe explanation, then absolutely we'll go and report on it. What is quite tricky is the fact that there's not a consistent source of news, really. So we're better at some things than others. Like somebody setting a new distance from Soul record is quite easy to report on, because those people tend to be quite vocal about their achievements, it's quite easy to find the information, and the stories are quite simple and write themselves. There's some aspects of the game. Yeah.
And don't you want to say his name? Where's it? Yeah, exactly. It's airplane. I say it's airplane.
Stuff like that. Stuff like that's a bit easier to report on, because although it's incredibly difficult work figuring out who discovered things. Like, often we'll get a story and it's been passed through 3 different people, and the actual name of the person who discovered it has often been obfuscated. So that's sometimes quite hard. Yeah, I see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. There's some aspects of the game that are really hard to get out of, like the Power Play community, for example. Power Play drives loads of really, really interesting narrative. A bit like, something like EVE Online creates incredible stories all the time, because it's heavily PvP. And the Power Play community has a similar ability to generate really interesting narrative over many, many months. So those guys have campaigns against each other that last for months and months and involve immaculate planning, and are incredible. But those stories don't tend to percolate out of those communities because they're quite insular. And also the mechanics of Power Play are not very transparent for casual players. So it's we're making quite a lot of effort at the moment to do better reporting on power play, because the reporting that we've done in the past has been quite inconsistent in focus.
You need more informants.
Sorry?
You need more informants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we need some spies. So we've
yes.
recruited some dedicated power play writers. So we're trying to get a bit more of a consistent voice on that, because really, for actual intrigue and fascinating stories and rivalries and battles and things, power play is pretty hard to beat in terms of story generation. So what we really want to do is to be able to report on everything that the community generates: exploration, science, power play, BGS, all the aspects that, and also things like races and SRV rallies and canyon races and stuff like that. So
hear that, Nagi? Hear that, Nagi? It's a job for you.
Hello. Yeah, I'm having some coughing issues, so I'm mostly muted.
Carving issues?
Isn't that? Yeah.
He's sick of us.
No.
Yeah. Okay, back to topic. So you need confidential informants, spies, and stuff like that. And I just thought, yeah, well, we've got Nagi. He's the closest thing we've got to that.
Is interesting. By chance, do you actually know how much influence players are having on those stuff the power play community does when they just go and take their modules? So they pledge to a power just to grab the modules and then go away again. Does that have any impact on what the power play players are doing at all?
Yeah, it does, but it's not measurable. So the power play have a concept they call it 5C, or fifth column, which means saboteurs, and what that means is people pledging to a power and then not acting in that power's interest. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
I need to look that up.
But so the people that are pledging to powers and then not acting in those powers' interests, they could either be dedicated, deliberate saboteurs who know what they're doing and are deliberately trying to hobble that power from within. And there is evidence that is a very real problem. But there is also a huge swathe of people who just pledge to a power because they want the module or they like the avatar or something like that. And it's not, the game doesn't make it obvious what to do for a power that's actually going to help it properly. So yeah, like module shopping is a big problem for power play, and a lot of the power players' efforts are spent in negating the activities of. So the organizers of the power play, a lot of their time and effort is spent negating the activities of casual players who don't know what they're doing in the game and haven't joined the right Discord servers and that kind of thing, so aren't privy to the organization. So yeah, it's a big problem.
Sounds like it's even worse than some random guys just screwing up with some faction BGS because they just want to do some missions and earn some money.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, one of them said we did a big piece on power play in the December issue, and one of the power play leaders said that it's like having a perfectly groomed lawn and a load of kids come walking through it to school every day and just completely wreck it because they don't know what they're walking, which makes perfect sense to me.
I disagree. I'm reading Premonition right now, and I'm really getting a different view on Aisling, and I kind of hate her now.
Yeah, she's not she's not portrayed particularly nicely in that novel, actually. I thought Petraeus came out quite well of that novel. He was portrayed quite well.
Yes,
read that.
And also Arissa, they both seem more decent than
exactly.
what it might seem on the outside.
Yeah, totally agree.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just was wiping my eye again. Sorry. Okay, back to the questions. I think there have been none in the interview questions channel. If anyone has questions, please. Well, we could first check out the general ones then, if you want. Or do you want it now? Okay, fire.
Okay, yeah, it's so it was started by a guy called Whitman, who I first met in 3302, probably mid 3302 in Colonia. So we were both out there when Jax was first discovered and people were first flocking to Colonia, and we started an in-universe newspaper together that was like I guess we used WordPress, and it was like a blog format thing, and there were about 5 or 6 of us who worked on this, and Whitman was one of them, and then I left when the CEI started, when all the bubble groups started moving to Colonia. I left and dropped out of the game for a while. And Whitman came back to the bubble, and he was like, okay, that was fun. I want to start up like a publishing thing in the bubble. So he had the idea of a magazine, and he founded it in August 3303, I think, and messaged me. And I was just getting back into the game after being away from it for most of a year. And he messaged me saying, I'm starting a magazine, you should come and join me. And then the first issue was September 3303, and there were 4. We've just converted it to audio, so I'm quite so it's quite fresh in my mind. But I think there were 4 or 5 contributors, and about 5 articles, and it was very short, much shorter than they are now. And then Whitman left after issue 2, and left it to me to run. And then he popped back in a couple of times over the next over the next 6 months or so. And then since then, we've had I think our team is about 100 people now, from about 7 or 8 different teams, and people sort of come and go, I guess. So the editors, the people who are the editors have changed quite a lot over that period. So yeah, founded in August 3303, and originally just because I think Whitman just thought, do you know what, an elite really needs something like this. This is a gap, and I love writing, and so let's do it. And then he reached out to people in the community who he knew felt fairly similar, I suppose.
So you will have your 2nd anniversary in August.
We will, yeah. We had our first one. Our community manager at the time, Jessica, got some of the guys from Frontier to record themselves in their green room, in their like mock-up ship that they do for live streams, reading the magazine, which was really nice. So yeah, that seems like yesterday, and we're actually probably closer to our 2nd anniversary now. So so it will be I think August. Yeah, I think September will probably be my 2nd anniversary with them, and the magazine's the server's anniversary will be in August, I reckon.
Have you? Do you have any celebrations planned?
No, not yet, not at all. We had a New Year's race last. We didn't do it this year. Last year we had a canyon race at Dekiat for the team, as like a New Year celebration. But we don't tend to. We don't tend to have like in-game celebrations for anniversaries. Really, we should do it more. We've just started. We've got a faction in Malaysia now, and we fly together a lot more than we used to. So hopefully we should start doing more in-game meetups.
Is that what that got UA bombed?
Yeah, well, no, The UA Bomb was a role play event. That was in Lathe Station. So our role play history is that we worked out of rented offices in Lathe until we got UA bombed by a group called the Alchemy Den, and then we worked out of the cargo hold of a Type 10 Defender for a few months, and then we finally moved into offices when our faction was inserted in the game. So we're now in.
Was that bombing a planned thing, or did that happen out of surprise?
It was the Alchemy Den reached out to us because they wanted to get some coverage for an event they were planning. They wanted to do like a big role play event in game with UAs or something similar to UAs. To get players' attention and kind of raise awareness about the Thargoid War, I guess. And it was a cool idea, and they were going to sabotage the place where Aisling Duval was due to, or Aisling Duval was due to be married. But then the wedding got cancelled, and they were like, "Well, what are we going to do?" And we were already in talks with them because they were telling us about their plans. And we were like, "Well, you could bomb us if you want. Like, we don't really have a base in the game, but we're looking for one, and it would make a cool backstory. So you could bomb us." So that's what they did.
Well, Lathe Station is a pretty famous station after all.
Yeah, exactly.
I think was the first Elite game started.
I think so. Yeah, I think it was the starting. I think it was one of the starting systems of the original game.
And then the other ones are still around.
Yeah, I've got no idea. I didn't actually play the other game, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I watched a video from Drew when he was talking about the systems from the original Elite game.
Yeah, I know that Leasty Lave and all of those were in.
Yeah, right.
I know they were in First Encounters, and I think Lave was the starting system, or one of them in the original game. I'm not sure.
What? Oops.
What? Oops. Do you need a house seal?
So I do actually have to watch the stream now to see what you've done. Oh yes, I will. Just give me a second. Anyway, we should still keep asking questions. I got so many tabs. Yeah. Next question: do you need a hull seal?
Not sure. Do you mean how did I get to dangerous? Right. I'm not going to be able to do the interview in universe. It's too taxing on my tiny brain. Do you mean how did I come to Elite? So I think it was one of my mates. He was really excited for Star Citizen, and he's much more plugged into video games than I am. And he messaged me one day saying, "Oh, there's this game. It's really cool. It's called Star Citizen. It's coming out in 10 years or whatever. But it looks really exciting."
Soon TM.
Yeah, exactly. In the meantime, there's and at the time it was like I think it was 2013 that he was at that time Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous was still being compared all the time because they were both like Kickstarter, like sort of pie in the sky, very ambitious titles. And at that time, Frontier was still talking a lot about atmospheric worlds and walking around. So the two ideas were being compared like for like a lot. And me and my mate were really excited by the prospect of like a full space sim you could live in, like a sci-fi universe that you could just live in, which is the dream of Star Citizen, I guess, and originally for Elite Dangerous as well. And I think originally he was like, well, Star Citizen's not going to come out for years and years and years, but Elite is coming out next year, and it looks really cool as well. And I went round his house one day, and he I remember he was in Ibutis. That is one of the original pill systems that's got binary stars. And he showed me a video of a time lapse of Ibutis and the two stars spinning around each other. And I think at that moment I was like, "Fuck! I've got to buy this game. This looks so cool." And I really love. I didn't really think I was particularly into astronomy at all, but I've been completely blown away by the scientific accuracy of Elite and the depth of it, and the fact that most things that exist in the game world are there because of scientific first principles rather than just arbitrarily let's put this here. So yeah, I ended up getting really into it from that point and became a beta backer. And I think that was about that was probably June 2014. No, it was about earlier than that. So it was late 2013, and then I didn't play the beta much until quite late 2014, quite close to release. So yeah, that's what originally, that Ibutis video is what originally got me interested, I suppose.
Interesting.
I got a question actually. Back in the day, you had those bulletin videos, and like 2 months ago, you were announcing that they're going to be replaced by longer, less frequent videos. What happened to that?
Yeah,
Obviously, we
question.
don't have any bulletins anymore, but where are those videos you promised?
Yeah, good question, and you're absolutely right to put me on the spot about it. Bulletins are we're still doing it. Basically, the plan is still on. We're going to release our first one. The video department's been a little bit quiet over the last couple of months. We've been really focusing on the podcasts and converting all the back issues to audio, which has taken up a load of energy. So video has been on the back burner. It's nice that you noticed the absence. That shows that you like the videos, which is great to hear. So the first one of our longer form documentary videos will be released on Tuesday, the 23rd of April, in about 3 weeks' time, and then the next one after that will be released on Tuesday, 30th of April. So the plan is that when we come up with the idea to do longer form documentary videos, that is about as fully fledged as the idea was. You know, we've ideated some ideas for what kind of documentaries we can do, but actually other content creators do a really good job of doing things like tutorial videos and lore videos and things. So what we're actually going to do is pick a couple of our of articles from the magazine every month and do videos on those topics. Because that uses some of the material that we've already created, so it cuts down on the work involved. And also that kind of discursive, longer form analysis of a subject is actually really suitable for video. So it also means that if we do 2 per month, we can have 2-week production period for them, which is really necessary. In fact, the bulletins were incredibly sort of manpower intensive to produce because they were news. You had to make them. We had a turnaround target of about 48 hours. So as soon as something happened, we had 48 hours in which to get the video out, which we very rarely hit that target, and it meant that often we were releasing videos on news that were supposed to be news videos far later than we'd have liked to. So having longer form things that are based on articles in the magazine means that there's no time limit on them, and there's no sense of, we've got to get it out today, we've got to get it out. And really focus on quality. So good question. The answer to when are they coming back is 23rd of April. So you should check out our video channel then, and then following that 2 per month from then.
That's a really nice answer.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward.
Yeah, too late. No.
10.66 G. That's more than
Sorry.
half G more than the 9.9. Well, that's quite a large gap between. Yeah.
I need to get there. I need to try that out.
Yeah.
A
Oh,
mothership?
Yeah, we did.
Oh.
There's motherships?
Good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just take a look at the date when it got released,
Yeah,
and you
sorry.
will realize.
I didn't.
I
Think
didn't read it yet. Still have to.
I didn't think anybody would take that seriously, but actually, a surprising number of people were like, "Oh my god, I only realized that."
There's
Until the very
always
end.
some people that fall for it. I mean,
Yeah.
we did a thing for the mass jump signups where we said, yeah, what?
What?
Craig just left.
No! Craig that left. Oh, don't say anything important for until he's back. No,
He's
no.
creating CGI.
Come back, Craig.
Okay,
Wait.
yeah. No, he's
Come
not.
He
back.
doesn't want to.
Wait.
He's moved again.
Where? Chank's dying right now, okay. Why isn't it working? Oh, Croc.
Those aren't icy rings then. Would be cool to have molten rings. I could continue with what I was telling. We did April Foods of sign ups. Now that we are selling premium packages, and yeah, some people fell for that.
Brilliant. What were you offering in the premium packages?
We've got 3 different tiers: bronze, silver, and gold. And bronze was just priority wing in for 1 jump, silver was for 2 jumps, and gold was for all future jumps.
Brilliant.
Why?
Yeah.
Okay, just give me a second because Craig is acting up and I need to set up other way to record this shit. Yeah, please ask the boring
God,
questions.
I love boring questions. Hit me. I'm not on the expedition. No, I wanted to be, but late last year I did a really long trip. I was out for about 3 or 4 months, and I was so if you look down at the galaxy from and Sol's at 6 o'clock, and the galactic core is in the center. I spent about 3 months out at about like 10, 11 o'clock, like the northwest of the map. Makes sense. Yeah. And I left on that trip on a total whim. So I was in a combat fitted Crate Mark II, because I hadn't really planned to stay out there for very long. And I ended up just going out there for ages and just spent months and months just jumping around in this completely random, like, far edge of the galaxy, in this fully modded, like, this crate had it had 3 grade 5 modded overcharged cannons and 2 Gauss cannons, like literally the most useless things you could take to that part of the galaxy. And and then when I eventually came back, it was about a month before Distant Worlds 2 started, and I was just like, do you know what? I really can't face any more jumping, like just jumping and jumping and jumping. So I didn't come, and I've actually been really quite enjoying being in the bubble and doing bubble things. So that's the reason I'm not on Distant Worlds 2. It's not. I would have really liked to have. It didn't. I just couldn't face. I couldn't face another big trip so hot on the heels of the last one. Yeah, we've got quite a few. Yeah, so we've done quite a bit of coverage of Distant Worlds 2. We did 2 in the magazine. We did 2 articles on the organisation process in 2 different issues, and then we've done. I think every week we've done a news story on our breaking news page about the waypoints, and we've also reported on other bits and bobs of what's going on, like specific discoveries or specific records set and that sort of thing as well. So yeah, we've probably got 8 or 9 people on Distant Worlds, and most of them are feeding back information and helping to create media for it. Yeah. No, I think it was. It's nearly a year. It's most of a year old, I think, at this point. It was released in. It was 3.1 or 3.2 that it was, I think. So. Yeah. Nice. Bloody hell! Did you do the rest of it in the Type 10? Because that's a pretty significant. Ah. Wow. Yeah. Gosh. I'm in a Mamba right now, so I've never been much of a combat pilot, and I never had a proper combat ship.
The Mamba is a really weird ship in my opinion.
It's so cool. It's so
it looks absolutely cool, but its usefulness is somewhere. I don't know where.
It's limited, yes.
You could say that.
It's totally brilliant.
The only thing I could think of that. The only thing that I could think of with this ship would be good at is speed bowling, because you just need to go straight basically and fast.
Yeah, it's the stock model has heat problems and is very weak. Mine is.
Well, I've heard it had turning problems.
Oh yeah, it's a bit drifty. To be honest, I've got grade 5 dirty drives on it, so it handles. It's much more responsive than it would otherwise be. But it's really fun to fly. It is drifty, but in a really fun way. It's not like it doesn't just pivot on the spot like the Federal ships. It's very drifty. It's very, very fast. It really rewards flying well.
So it's drifting competitions that you have to do with that.
Yeah, exactly. It's good at it really rewards a bit of flight assist off as well. It's phenomenal. I love it. It's really, really good. So when I said I took a few months out from the game and from early 3303 to late 3303, and when I came back, I looked at my hangar and I was like, I don't remember what any of these ships are for. So I basically sold all of my ships apart from my Sidewinder, and then just flew in the Sidewinder for 6 months, getting used to everything again. And then I was dimly aware that I wanted a decent combat ship because I didn't. It's like the only thing I've never really had. And then when the Mamba came out, I completely fell in love with the way it looks. And I really like fast ships. I hate slow ships. And when they said that the Mamba was in roleplay terms based on a racing prototype, I was like, yeah, definitely that. So now I fly that a lot for combat and assassination missions and bounty hunting and things. It's so much fun. And then when I'm not in that, I fly an Imperial Courier a lot. Which is
what weapons do you use?
On the Mamba, I've got
Yeah.
the main weapon is a huge grade 5 long range beam laser with the thermal vent effect, which dumps heat. And then I've got 2 large gimbaled overcharged multi cannons and the 2 small grade 5 long range railguns with the feedback cascade. So the idea is that I
get the idea.
Yeah, so the whole point is to be able to take people out from really far away, which is super fun. Also, if you look behind you, you can see this huge beam laser. You can see the barrel is right above the co-pilot's chair. So I only have to look behind the seat, and there it is. Wicked.
Does it still clip through the cockpit?
No, I can't. No, I don't think there's any clipping.
Okay, I remember that did that in the beginning.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good. The convergence isn't great. So the 2 multi cannons on the large hard are on gimbaled mounts, so that they track the target. So I don't. But if you had fixed ones on the large hard points, it'd be a big problem because they're really really wide apart. But having them on gimbal mounts kind of sorts that. So yeah, I can thoroughly recommend the Mamba as a really really fun combat ship if you like drifting around.
I might try it.
It was on my to buy list, but I wasn't quite sure yet what to do with it.
It's pretty fast. Yeah.
Yeah, FTL got a huge amount as well, so
it's a lot like the Fer-de-Lance, but the Fer-de-Lance has 4 medium hardpoints rather than 2 large, 2 small, and the Fer-de-Lance is a bit slower. So my mate and I, he has a Fer-de-Lance, and he's got his modified similar to mine in terms of core internals, and his does about 50 meters per second less than the Mamba, but is a bit more maneuverable. So the Fer-de-Lance has a bit more maneuverability, a bit less speed.
Crazy maneuverable.
And how does it sound? I haven't heard the sound of the Mamba yet. Does it can it keep up with the FDL?
I've never flown an FDL. I don't know what it sounds like. So I can't
sounds like a chopper.
The Mamba is a bit like I guess it's quite like the Courier in terms of the boost noise.
Okay,
I don't know that either.
Describing sounds is quite difficult.
Yeah, I bought the FDL and fell in love with its sound immediately. So
yes,
in my opinion, best boost sound still is Phantom.
Yeah, it's a little bit too screechy for me, but I was wondering. I think the Mamba might be an alternative to the FDL and has been intended as such.
Yeah, it is, but annoyingly, it doesn't. The PvP crowd don't fly the FDL. The Mamba at all. I don't think. Those guys still all swear by the things like
maneuverability
and the Chieftain and the Fer-de-Lance. Yeah, so I don't think that in the really the upper echelons of combat aficionados, I don't think the Mamba is particularly popular. So it hasn't really found a niche. Mine is really really efficient for combat. I can't fault it at all. I think it's brilliant. And it's super fun to fly.
It's also a huge difference between PvP and PvE. You have to say it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Let's get back to you since we don't have that much time left. It's 10 minutes only. Before we get to the wrap-up question, I want to ask you what was your coolest discovery so far?
there's a binary pair of Earth-like worlds about 100 light years below the Greater Nile, and I call them Orissa's nubile orbs. But I wasn't allowed to give them that name. Eramis made me change it to just Orissa's orbs. So if you go into the Galactic Mapping Project and search for Orissa's orbs, you will find two beautiful binary Earth-like worlds, very, very close together. With each of them has about 0.7 G, so really lovely buoyant gravity, oxygen-rich atmosphere. So really, really nice place to live, I imagine. And yeah, but their real name is not Orissa's orbs; it's Orissa's nubile orbs. And one day, I hope that I'll be able to walk on them.
Yeah.
Well, I bought Elite originally not because if atmospheric landings and space legs particularly weren't in the vision for Elite, I wouldn't have bought it. I think it's great, and it's the kind of game that I would like reading about, but I probably wouldn't play it because, you know, we're essentially cameras stuck in cockpits of ships. Our avatars are our ships really at the moment, which doesn't interest me wildly if that's all it is. So I love Elite obviously, but I'm very much a player who's here for the overall promise of what Elite will eventually be, rather than specifically just the space flight aspect. So and I guess I'm one of those players who I really look for escapism in games and like a universe I can really disappear into and live in. And I love the idea of a completely open science fiction universe that we can just explore and live in, and that involves walking around. It involves boarding other people's ships, stowing away, performing repairs on your ship, landing on an unknown planet, and climbing out and looking at like a sky that nobody else has seen, and exploring planets with plants, animals that nobody else has seen, all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm in it for that long-term vision, really.
Plants and animals. I really am looking forward to that, and I wonder if they can beat Star Citizen with that.
Star Citizen
Not in time, but in quality.
Yeah.
Got another question regarding the Simulates too. I don't know if you talked about that. I missed the beginning. You announced that you are collecting commander stories of Distant Worlds 2. Is that something like that? I've heard something like that.
Yeah, we are doing. We're going to do a special edition after the end of Distant Worlds 2. It's not very planned because we're not fully certain of when it'll be. But in one of the months after the end of Distant Worlds 2, we are going to do a long feature on the expedition in the monthly magazine, in which probably half the issue will be dedicated to Distant Worlds 2. So we'll have maps of the waypoints and the best screenshots of them as well, and the things that people have discovered along the way, but also commander stories. So if any listeners like sort of recapping your experiences in the game, then hop onto our website, www.sagittarius-i.com, and go to our submissions page, and then send in your screenshots and stories about what you've been up to. And we will put as many of them as we can into that special edition.
Do we have to be in a special format?
I don't think so. We prefer, for images, use Imgur, and obviously the higher resolution, the better. So it's much easier to use things if they're HD or at least 1080p. I think there's a problem with HD images at the moment, actually. And in terms of text, we work with the Google Suite, so put things on an edit-enabled Google Doc so that we can hop in and copy the text off and edit it and that sort of thing. Other than that, we can use other formats. It's just those are the preferred ones, I guess.
And when is the deadline?
I said, if you're not comfortable using Google Suite, don't worry. But that, or just type directly into the submissions page.
Yeah.
But ideally, we use Google Suite because it.
When is the deadline?
Deadline. Good question. Good question. Well, we won't release the special edition until after the expedition has finished. So I guess the deadline is the end of the expedition, because then that'll give us a few weeks to pull everything together and get it looking brilliant. So we'll until between now and the end of Distant Worlds 2, we'll be collating the material for that.
All right.
Yeah, we pretty much covered everything.
Captain Comeback has asked in the questions channel, VR or
yes,
not?
he did.
And so I use VR exclusively. The only thing I don't use VR for is if I just want to open the game and check something in the galaxy map. But 99% of my time in the game is in VR. I love it.
I want VR too.
I can recommend it.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you already asked it. It was the "what are you looking forward to in the future" question. Let me just check. So yeah, okay, let's go with this final question. Are there any tips or tricks or something you want to give other players on the way, to have them know what they shouldn't miss out on in the game, or something like that?
Probably for players who are fairly new to Elite, the best advice I could give people is to join a group. Most people, if you're drawn to Elite, you probably quite like the fact that it doesn't have structured goals. So it tends to attract people who don't like a great deal of structure. So there's a lot of people who say like, "Oh, I'm a lone wolf," sort of thing, and that's really cool. Like, I totally get that. But a lot of the player groups for Elite don't have. They're not about hierarchy. They're more about sharing knowledge and sharing experiences. And it wasn't until the community of Elite Dangerous really opened up, or the world of Elite Dangerous really opened up to me, before I joined a group. So I was a member of the Children of Raxler for a while. So I would advise people, anybody listening who's just sort of scraping the surface of Elite and wants to get more out of it, look up some of the player groups and get involved, because you'll make really good friends. And the community aspect of Elite Dangerous is probably at least 40% of the appeal, because it has an amazing community who make wonderful things and are really supportive and brilliant. And playing with other people is a great deal more fun than playing on your own. It'll just unlock a whole lot of the game's features for you as well.
Actually, some people told me that's what they enjoy about the game: the solitude, the isolation, just to get away from people. They are
Yeah, fair. I mean, there are always those people as well. I've just really noticed that when I played alone, or when people play alone generally, they find it. It's everything you achieve in the game, you kind of do it the hard way, because you don't know any other way. And player groups are so good at like sharing information and supporting each other that it's just much more fun. It's a much more fun way to achieve your goals in the game. Do it with others, I think. So
I agree.
So yeah, if you're an absolute lone wolf and you really don't like playing with other people, props to you. But if you're just dipping your toe in and you want to learn a bit more, then do some research and join a group.
Okay. All right. That wraps things up pretty nicely, I think. Anything you want to tell people? Yeah, I just asked that, but yeah, any final words, any wisdoms? Say something smart.
I will not say anything smart, because I can't smart on demand, or even at all most of the time. But what I can do is shamelessly plug Sagittarius Eye. So we have So we are, as part of our archive conversion program, we are releasing issue 6 of our magazine next Thursday, which was originally released back in March or April last year. So that is releasing at around 5 p.m. next Thursday as a fully voice-acted podcast. We've got professional and semi-professional voice actors working on it, and it's brilliant. It's totally good. We've got bespoke music created by the very talented Midnight Driscoll, and it's about an hour and a half of super cockpit listening. We have just released yesterday the fully converted audio version of our 5th issue of the magazine, which originally came out in December last year, I think, which is now available on our on things like Spotify and iTunes.
We've got it's 3305, not 3304 anymore.
3305. No, 3303, I think.
Yeah.
No. With the issue 5 was 3304, I reckon. Or it might have been 3303. I can't remember. It depends if it was December or January.
Well, 3304 is like 5 months ago. So that can't be. Because you couldn't have produced 20 issues in 5 months.
Good point. Very good point. Okay, well, whatever. It was the 5th issue, which I think was December of 3303.
It's okay from your side if we rebroadcast those episodes, right?
Yeah, no, go for it. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, okay. So from me to the audience, let us know if we should do so.
And then the final thing, the 20th issue of Sagittarius Eye is releasing on Thursday, the 18th of April at 5 p.m., which 5 p.m. British summertime, I think, or GMT, but around then. And it is for those who don't know, it is a fully community-produced, in-universe magazine by Elite Dangerous players for Elite Dangerous players, covering the whole universe of Elite Dangerous. So check it out on
please do.
On the 18th of April.
It's awesome, guys. Don't miss out on it. Okay, thank you for coming. Thank you for being here on such short notice. Yeah, we know we have to do. We don't want to keep you any longer. We are already over the time we agreed on.
It's fine. It's fine. You sort of build in 5 minutes of running overtime, don't you?
Okay. Yeah. Actually, we always start late. So yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you ever so much for having me. It's been a real pleasure and a real honor as well.
It was. Okay. Have a nice evening, and thank you for coming again, and fly dangerously and stuff like that. I'll let you go now.
Catch you later. Thanks very much.
Yes. Bye-bye. And also, the audience, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining in. This was our weekly interview. I know we were a little early today, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I am quick in editing the recording of it and uploading it if you missed out, because we just had trouble with Craig, our wiretap bot, so it is a little more difficult than usual. Yeah, thanks. I am recording the past 25 minutes. I've been recording myself, but there's a few seconds missing, so we need to do that. Anyway, thanks for listening, everyone. I will leave you to the Auto DJ. Also, while you're listening, yes, of course. Thanks, Chankk, for that. Also, quick announcement about the Auto DJ and the radio in general. Next week, we will be rolling out a new back-end system with some more features like a request system built in and a track history. And the Auto DJ is way more flexible that way. Hope you're looking forward to that. More about that in the future. Thanks for listening again, and we will talk to you sometime later. Have a nice evening, everyone, or day, whatever. Bye-bye.
Can you guys stay a bit?
You've got to be kidding me. I didn't have my mic on.